Hi there, my name is Anthony. I've heard the phrase, you can't choose your parents, since I was a kid, and I didn't like it very much. And why is that? Well, I wasn't exactly happy with my family, or rather, my mother, or rather, our relationship. I have an older brother, Hick. For some reason, he always thought and felt he was better than me in everything. Beauty, physique, and even status. You're a moron and I'm not. What makes you say that? Because my mum loves me and you don't. Does having a mother's love add to intelligence? What did you say? Mum, he's calling me names again. Anthony, don't tease your brother. Mum, but That's it. I said that's it. I have a headache. I want to watch TV in peace, okay? Hick gave me the middle finger and went to his room. It's a good thing we have different ones. He often pestered me with his pseudo-superiority, only I didn't understand why I felt so inferior. I always studied better than he did. I was quicker. I even had better physical attributes. But you know, no matter how hard I tried, I could never win the race for Mum's attention. He always slipped away towards Hick. Was I jealous? Well, I used to be, but I was more resentful than jealous. I always asked myself why, and one day my resentment reached its peak. How was it? I'll tell you. That morning my mother left her wallet on the table as she ran out of the house to work. Hick and I were supposed to go to school a little later, so he takes her wallet and pulls out $50. What are you doing? Put it back. Mum didn't give her permission to go through her stuff. So what? She's not gonna know. It's $50. She'll know. She's got more in there. You want it? I'm good, thanks. You're kind of boring. That's why you don't have any friends. I'll look for friends based on my interests, not for money like you. Are you saying that my friends are all bought? You said it yourself, not me. You're pushing it. Fuck you. Hick came up to me, grabbed my shirt, and at that moment, my mum walked in. Have you boys seen my wallet? My colleague's money's in there. I need to pay her back, and I forgot it. I had to go back halfway, and here it is. What's going on? Nothing, I'm fine, it's just… Hick interrupted me and said, Mum, Tony stole your money. I got it back. What? Mum, that's not true. Oh no. Tony, how much longer are you going to disappoint me? I'll talk to you later. I'm in a hurry. As soon as she left, a fight broke out between us. Hick punched me in the eye and I punched him in the stomach. That was the end of it. I came to school with a blue eye. I had completely forgotten that we were going on a trip to the History Museum. Hick was in a parallel class since he was in the second year, so we rode on the same bus. All the way this jerk was pestering me, and I was angry, but I held back. During the tour, we were picking on him again. We were reprimanded more than once by the teachers. Afterwards, we all went into the cafeteria together to get something to eat. I went into the bathroom, and when I came out of the stall, Hick was standing there with his stupid buddies. They twisted my arms and dunked my face in the toilet a few times. He yelled that it was revenge for the punch to the stomach. It was horrible. There was nothing I could do about it. I came out of the toilet all wet. 20 people laughed at me. I had never been so embarrassed. I got on top of Hick in front of everybody. The teacher immediately called my mother and complained about me. My mother shouted into the phone and scolded me, and I tried to explain that I had nothing to do with it, that it wasn't me who started it. And all my mother said was, you started stealing, and now you're hitting your brother? What have we done to you? Why am I being punished like this? Her words hurt me. I turned off the phone and the guys went to the bus, only I didn't get on. I decided to stay. The car left and I walked, alone, no money. My phone wouldn't turn on anymore because the battery was dead. I had no idea where I was going, and I suddenly realized that I was hungry because I never went to the cafe. I tried to fight hunger, but it didn't work. My stomach had already begun to cramp. I couldn't stand it, so I decided to take extreme measures. There was a store not far from me, and I went in. Trying not to be obvious that I didn't have a cent in my pocket, I walked past the refrigerator with the hamburgers, then past the counter with the sausages. They were more openly available. I grabbed a sausage and quickly popped it in my mouth, then grabbed a yogurt and stuffed it in my pocket. Then I grabbed some peanuts and put them in my pocket as well. Then I heard a voice say, "Hey boy, you gotta pay!" And I got the hell out of there. A security guard with a baton and a walkie-talkie was chasing me. At one point he grabbed me by the hood, and to avoid getting caught, I knocked over a rack that was in the way. And it was expensive alcoholic beverages. In the blink of an eye, dozens were smashed. Man, I didn't mean to do that, but I couldn't do it any other way. The salesman himself had already started chasing me, and I pushed someone else's grocery cart at him. He flipped it over, and I ran onto the street. It wasn't like me at all, but what to do? It all went wrong from the start. I didn't think through my plan well. At least I was smarter than my brother. And why do I keep comparing myself to him all the time? Why am I not loved the way I am? Why do I always come out the way I don't want to? Why? I walked down the road and thought about it. I felt so sad that I cried. It would only be better for everyone if I disappeared, I said aloud to myself, and went on. For the next 2 hours, I stupidly wandered through unknown territory, wandered somewhere closer to the forest, looking for a suitable tree to spend the night there. And suddenly a beautiful area opened up in front of me for trailers. I had heard of such a place, where poor people lived all year round. They rented a trailer and lived there. At my own peril, I went in, and immediately someone's boot flew into the back of my head. "What are you doing here, stranger? Get out of here!" some kid shouted at me. I gave him the middle finger and his father saw it. He stood up for him. He started walking towards me. My stomach clenched in fear. I was confused. I didn't know what to do, and I saw the bike in front of me. It was running. Someone was going to drive away from there. I just got on top of it and found the gas pedal. Ran out of there like a real biker. Took down a couple of trash cans on the way. The guy flew off the road, and my adrenaline was kicking in. I drove a decent distance away, and then I had to pee. I didn't know how to slow down, got distracted from the road, and fell into a hole. The bike went out of the way and was hit by a passing police car. "Oh no, what the hell is that?" I said to myself, ducked, and crawled away from the road. "Well, well, well, what do we have here?" said someone behind me. I turned around and cops were standing over me. They found me by the footprints. They brought me to the station. I didn't want to give my name, but they got me from the database. "You're a wanted fugitive." I can imagine how many people want to find me. "One person is your mum." "What? My mum's looking for me? You're not kidding?" "Yeah, she lost you. You lost the bus, didn't you?" That's one way to put it. "You're in trouble, son. You robbed a store, stole someone else's bike, and almost killed a cop. You know that?" "Do what you want with me. I don't care anymore." "Your mom's on her way. We're going to have a dialogue with her." They put me in a cell, and I was already imagining her throwing herself at me in front of everyone, screaming, cursing, and yelling. Then the door swings open, and she runs in. My mother demanded to let me out. The police couldn't calm her down, and she screamed to have her son handed over to her. Finally, the bars were opened, and my mother came running at me with a hug. I was surprised. "Mum, what are you doing?" "I'm sorry, it's all me. It's my fault. I did everything wrong. I'll fix it, I promise. Forgive me." "For what?" "For not loving properly. Hick told me everything. He got scared for you. Realized you ran away from the bus. He got scared for you and told me all about the money, that he took it, that he beat you and the boys and humiliated you. He's grounded now, and I came to get you." "So, do you love me?" "Of course I do, son. Of course I do." I was happy to hear those words. I'd never received so much love from my mother. She took me away, and I was about to leave the station happy, when the police officer said, "Ma'am, you'll have to pay the fine." "What's fine?" Mum, here's the thing. Ta-da! I won't tell you what happened next, but I didn't know my mum could swear.
Hello everyone, my name is Eliza. I had a difficult period in my life, even the most difficult. Of course, it's a little easier now, but what I went through almost made me give up. I will tell you everything now in more detail, and you please like the video, write your opinion in the comments, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm in high school. I'm 15 years old, and I've never been an ardent party girl. Yes, I was the most ordinary girl who studied, helped my mother with chores around the house. My mother had a second marriage. That is, I lived with my stepfather. They had twins, and my mother had absolutely no time for me. On the one hand, I understood that I was an adult, and I needed to support my mother. It is more difficult for her, but on the other, I still felt the need for her presence in my life. But ever since she got pregnant, there has been less and less of her. The only thing left for me is to move on, go to school, and help around the house. Well, then some kind of nightmare began. When the babies were born, it was great, of course. We were all happy, but most of all, I was worried about my mother. When they were discharged from the hospital, something started at home. There was a round-the-clock yell. It was impossible to sleep or do homework in the house because the girls were constantly yelling. Then one, then another. I had no idea how to help her. And on the other hand, I just wanted silence. Once, when my father left for work, my mother asked me to stay and help her with the little ones. I couldn't because I had an important exam waiting for me at school. I couldn't miss it. All of a sudden, she started yelling at me a lot. She called me a shitty daughter, and I was offended by her. What right did she have to call me that? Out of anger, I said a lot of unnecessary things to her. I probably shouldn't have said it, but I couldn't help myself. I shouted that it wasn't my fault that she had remarried and had to give birth. My mother felt like cold water had been thrown over her. She stood up straight and left. Full of anger, I slammed the door and ran to school. By the way, yes, that day I successfully failed the exam, and this made me even more angry. I've never been so angry before. Anyway, just in time for me to step out into the hallway after the exam, Cal came up to me. This is a guy from another group. He has been hitting on me for a long time, but I did not return his love. He invited me to a party in honor of the fact that his parents went on vacation and left him alone in their big house. I decided to accept the invitation and went with him as agreed. I was very drunk that night, and I think I was taken with a first glass of champagne. I felt so bad that I couldn't control myself anymore. All I remember is Cal pouring me another glass of champagne or wine and then inviting me into his bedroom. I didn't even say anything. I just went with him, and I don't remember much about what happened there. When I woke up the next morning, I felt like my whole body was hurting, including my head. Cal started to say something to me, but I put my hand over his mouth. I didn't want to hear it. I got dressed and left. I heard a lot more from my mother, and our relationship heated up. But the problems didn't end there. After a week, I noticed something. I had delayed menstruation. I bought a pregnancy test, and yes, it's like I've won the fucking jackpot. I got pregnant. All I felt at that moment was regret and confusion. I felt sorry for myself, and also terribly afraid. I now did not know what to do and how to be. I definitely didn't want to tell Cal about it, and I planned not to tell anyone yet. My mother knocked sharply on the bathroom door, and I ran out of it like I was scolded. I ran into my room and remembered that I had left the test in the bathroom. A second later, my mother ran out of there shouting, "Are you pregnant?" I didn't have time to come up with an excuse, so I just said yes. She asked who the father was, and I said I didn't know, or rather I didn't remember. She almost had a heart attack. No, I wasn't hoping for anything, and I hadn't even decided what to do about keeping the baby or not. But my mother's behavior made me give up, and I suddenly wanted to give birth to her for evil. She went and wailed every day, slowly dripping on my nerves. She demanded that I have an abortion. I said I was going to give birth. To be honest, I didn't expect such a reaction, but she collected all my things and put them out the door. I couldn't believe she'd done that. Well, how can you kick out your pregnant daughter? I felt a sense of despair and resentment, and all I wanted to do was cry. I cried a lot and every day. It's a good thing my girlfriend took me in. Natalie was kind, and she lived alone with her parents. Nat understood my situation and promised to help me in any way she could. I don't know how long I lay and cried. Apparently it was influenced by hormones. It's been a week, and I haven't heard from my mother. Of course, this upset me even more. My stepfather didn't care about me. I didn't need anyone but myself and my girlfriend. As soon as I thought about it, someone came to the door. Imagine, it was my stepfather. He brought me money, food, and clothes. It turns out that Natalie told him where I was, and he decided to help a little. I didn't expect it. When I asked where my mom was, he said she was home with the girls, apologized for her, and said she was having a hard time, so she was taking it out on me. I asked him to tell her that I was not a scapegoat, and that if it was so difficult for her to think about me, then let her not strain herself. Apparently, she had no place left for me in her life. My stepfather must have felt it too, so it was like he was apologizing. I accepted his help, and then he left. I gave the whole amount to Natalie for my living expenses. We held out for another month, but I needed care, a doctor and all that, and I didn't even know where to go. I was so scared. I was getting even more depressed when someone knocked on our door again. I thought it was my stepfather again, but Cal was standing outside the door. He threw himself on me, kissed me, hugged me, and swore that he would love our child more than anyone else. I couldn't believe it. I thought he was kidding, but it turns out I was wrong about him. Cal hugged me and asked me why I didn't say anything, why I didn't tell him, and all I said was, "Are you sure the baby's yours?" To which he replied that he did not doubt it for a second, and he was right. Cal talked to his parents, and they took me home with them. He had a great family, they accepted me, and Cal started working for his father and earning money. I took a sabbatical from school to calmly go through the pregnancy and give birth. In general, wish me good luck, because in a couple of months, we will see our baby.